Racing-Leagues.com with Steve O'Connor and Troy Allen.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to Racing-Leagues.com's coverage of the final pre-season test for Season 6 of the FVR Fiat Supercars series. And as normal, alongside me is my co-commentator Troy Allen. Good evening, Troy.
Yes, good evening, Steve. It's been that long-awaited time where we kick off a fresh season and see if we can't crown a new supercar champion.
Well, from my perspective, hopefully not, but I can't believe we're already into Season 6, Troy. It only seems like yesterday that we were at the final round and Brett Clark took the championship from Stuart Portier.
Yeah, it does only feel like yesterday, and then you throw in the Enduros that we've had there as well. It's definitely blasted by pretty quickly.
Yeah, so let's just have a quick chat about the Enduros. Obviously, we didn't broadcast them, but somewhat of a fright of his life for Mr. Clark in the Enduros, especially for round one, where he found himself finishing second position. But then he rectified things at Bathurst with what a battle there was at the end there, Troy, between Stuart and Brett for the win.
Oh, Steve, I think that was probably one of the greatest nights for me, between the banter between you and me over the night. For those of you that are not aware, me and Steve were actually on Mumble, team managing directly as engineers with the boys, and it came down to, I think what it was, Steve, maybe 2 litres left in the, well, there's 2 left in my pot. What was in yours?
Exactly, I think. Well, we had a few more litres, obviously, because we did figure out that we were going to be sort of fuel limited towards the end, but just how limited we weren't quite sure. So I did call for my two to try and give me a 7-lap stint in the middle, and neither of them could do it. So I was pretty sure that we had no chance. But obviously, you tried it with Stuart, and unfortunately, it didn't quite work out. But it was a good stab at it anyway.
Oh, look, we were there. We had that 7-lap stint covered, except for just a little moment at the top of Skyline there where Stuart put it into the wall and lost his front bar. Apart from that, yeah, we were pretty much on song. We were going to take that one out too.
Yeah, I do remember it's a bit ridiculous that we were sweating between the two of us trying to get the right call and trying to out-call each other, if you like, and it was just luck at the end of the day that we made it through.
I tell you who I feel sorry for, Steve, is probably Bruce there with you. How do I work this out? Tell me, how many laps have we got left?
Yeah, it was quite crucial. I think that's the first time that we've actually had to make a call that could have destroyed the race for somebody, and especially the pressure was on the Brett leading almost every lap. One wrong call from me would have made us look like a bunch of morons.
Oh, well, it would have been gold for me. I would have had something to laugh at. But after that event, that left Brett and Stuart both tied on 480 points coming into the Gold Coast.
I know, and the Gold Coast, as we saw, was a bit of a issue for Stuart at the start. He ended up having to start from pit lane, which
oh, I know.
Yeah, which sort of destroyed the race. But I tell you what, SRT made the best out of it and lapped the whole field between the two cars for a 1-2 finish, which was completely unrepresentative of what happened in the Endurance Cup. So nice to see, but as I say, it was completely unrepresentative of the level of competition that we've had all the way through the Brock Trophy.
Oh, most definitely. I think for us at DSA, we're going to really forget that Gold Coast even happened. I mean, we had, obviously, Stuart didn't make it to the grid. Then I think we got a stop-go and a drive-through for pit lane infringements. It really threw any chance he had out the window.
Absolutely. So we're heading into Season 6 of the main Fiat Supercars Championships. We've got a very hungry driver in Stuart, who I'm sure will want to put things right as he sees it from last season. We've got Brett Clark, who's now picked up 5 individual Fiat Supercars Championships, and it doesn't matter who he drives for, but that's a phenomenal rate of success, Troy.
Oh, it definitely is, and credit to him. But just on the Stuart there, I think there was a race that we've had that Brett made comment that he's never been pushed so hard than what was, I think it was Stuart at Bathurst, was probably where he was really sweating the most, and he actually said he felt pressured.
Absolutely, yeah. He's obviously Brett drives for my team, so we know how much pressure Stewart's applying at the moment, so it's just, he's relentless. It's the ability to keep knocking out those laps one after another that really puts the pressure on everybody else.
Oh, he's consistent, Steve. He really is Mr. Consistent. And unfortunately, we haven't had Kai Turner be a part of this team since Stewart's joined us, which is probably a big loss there, because you can only imagine someone with the capabilities of Stewart here mentoring someone like Kai Turner with raw pace. You're going to see potentially the next Brett Clark, I would say.
Absolutely. So just looking over the field this morning, we've only got 7 drivers in at the moment. This is the final pre-season practice, so the real thing kicks off in 2 weeks' time. So we'll be bringing you somewhat limited coverage of this at the moment. We're just checking that everything still works and that it still looks good and we're ready to go for the next season. Yeah, off you go. So in terms of who we're looking at for the championship, you really, on past form, you really can't look past the SRT drivers, the DSA drivers, 555 drivers, and our ex-V8 Supercars champion Dan Stevens, I would say, would probably be the favourites amongst them.
Look, I think there's probably 4 genuine chances, or actually 5 genuine chances, sorry, in the field, and that one would be Dave Kinnaman. I think he's thereabouts, but he just lacks something. Obviously, Dan Stevens, being a past champion, he's definitely someone that you've got to keep an eye out. He's got a tendency to just creep up on you. Obviously, Brett Clark is definitely got to be in your number 1 pick. Then you come to Stuart Portia, who really scared everyone and really stood up and just take notice of last year. And look, Bert Van Jaarsveld, he's a hit or miss kind of driver. Yes, he had a great result at Gold Coast and Brett brought him along, but last season he seemed to find an incident. He found a way to lose positions more than gain them, I think. Wouldn't you agree, Steve?
I would agree up until about halfway through, and then if you look at his results from sort of the midpoint of the season, he gained a place every week. And I mean, he's the Enduro Cup was a perfect example of that. I think he's 5th in the first one, 3rd in the next one, 2nd in the next one. You know, it stands to reason that there's a few wins out there somewhere. If he just gets that right sort of level of confidence, I do believe that that's what's changed, is he now has the confidence. And we always know he's at the speed. We've seen him in qualifying and stuff. So it's like why I would discount Dave for championship. Dave just seems either unlucky or unable to put the full season together. He's got the pace, don't get me wrong, he can win races. And from what I can see, they're still in the Volvo, and I think that's a bad decision at the moment.
Yeah, look, there's a lot that needs to be... The Volvo's a car that, if you can unlock it, it's going to reward you. But on live timing during the week, I did see Gavin driving the Monster Energy FGX, so I don't know what the situation is there.
This is the thing. If 555 Racing were racing a Ford, I would put both of them up there for the championship. If they're going to race a Volvo, they're not going to win it. And I'll call that right now. So if they change their Ford, they're going to be a threat. If they stay on the Volvo, no.
That's a big call. Now, so that's our Drivers' Championship standings, obviously. You know, I think we're going to see it'll be between Brett Clark, Stuart Portia, Kai Turner, and as a dark horse, I'll throw Dan Stevens in there. They're your 4, I think, to watch for this season.
Yeah, I'll probably agree with you. That's fair. We'll have to review that towards mid-season when we see what sort of luck those drivers have had, because as we know, if you get taken out or you have an accident or whatever, you got a long way to climb back up again, so it can happen to anyone, as we've seen previously.
This is true. So let's put a line in the sand there. That's my top 4. What about you, Steve? You in agreement?
I think it's got to be Brett, Stewart, in no particular order, because we've seen that battle all last season. Then I think you've got to look towards Dan creeping up there as well. Kai, I'd like to say Kai's into the shout, but Kai's very like Dave and putting the season together through whether no fault of his own or bit of bad luck. He just hasn't been able to do it yet. So Kai and Dave, I would put a little bit further down. Gavin, if we get a 4, will be right there. But if he stays in the Volvo, he's going to be top end of mid-pack at best. So I would say Brett and Stuart for the title. Dan probably next up, and then Dave, Kai, Gavin.
I see what you say there with the likeness between Kai and Dave. The difference I find between the two is Kai's got more outright speed, more natural speed than Dave. He'll quite easily lap him.
Do you know what?
A lot more unlucky.
There's one thing I would say there is if you put Dave on a track that he likes, such as Adelaide, nobody's going to get past him. But it's very specific to the tracks.
I think every driver is very track specific. I mean, everyone's got their favourite tracks where they love driving and whatnot, and everyone's got their tracks that they hate driving at.
Yeah, some drivers do, but if you look at the likes of Brett and Stuart, if they hit a track, we don't know about it until they're finished.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
They still throw out the 1-2.
What about team-wise now, Steve?
Right,
so we've got 555 Racing, SRT, BSR, DSA. I do believe Orango Racing are making a return this season for R Factor 2. GRC Winkler Electrical, a new combination there.
You can't look past SRT, DSA, 555, in no particular order there either. 555 are always the dark horses. Well, while they're not winning races, they're picking up massive points every week. You just cannot discount them. DSA, if Kai is able to perform at the level that we know he can consistently, they're going to be a nightmare to get over. SRT, obviously 5 times champions, they're going to have to work very hard to make sure they're consistently pulling off the most points. But it's going to be the biggest team battle we've seen so far this year.
I think it's going to be a stellar battle for the team's title this year. I mean, obviously SRT stole, and I will say stole the title from us last year. I'm still reeling from that loss. But, yeah, I think if 555 have always been there and thereabouts. They always manage to collect a great bag of points. They're always top 5 and above. DSA, as you say, if Kai can produce on a consistent level, again, I am agreeing with you here. I don't believe this. Viewers, please don't think I've lost my marbles. If he can continue at the level that we know he can drive at, yes, DSA will be a force because you'll be looking at top 3 with Stuart Portier there as well.
Absolutely, but the thing you've got to remember is that it was very clear last season. We got to Pukekohe, Brett had knocked out 6 wins, Bert had picked up decent points as well, and after Pukekohe, 555 Racing were in the lead of the team's title. It's just unreal. They're just relentless. In the same way that Brett thinks that Stuart's relentless on track, 555 just never give up, and they really are due a title sooner rather than later.
Oh, look, they are, and I remember in the first season that I started Team DSA, we were actually battling 555, and it came down to the last race of the Peter Brock Trophy when it was part of the championship, and which we did the 2 races over the Gold Coast weekend, and we managed to pick them by, I think, 20 points or 30 points, something like that. It was ridiculous, but it shows there just how relentless they are, even to come down to one race. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely. So while we've been whacking on, qualifying has almost finished for this pre-season event. And surprise, surprise, Dave Kinnaman has outpaced Brett Clark and Stuart Portier and is sitting in first position at the moment. The only guy into the 48s at the moment. Clark in a 49.176, Stuart Portier 49.188. So. And Darren Goosey, of all people, up in 4th as well, only 0.4 seconds off as well in 4th position. So everybody's very close at the moment on this track. So let's just actually give you a bit of information about the track. So let's just get this up in 1 second.
It's a very short, sharp lap, Steve. It's all over and done within under a minute.
Well,
and
yeah, this is the Norris Ring, so it's well known over here in Europe. It's one of the biggest race weekends anywhere with the DTM. So different kind of V8 touring car, but slightly faster than the V8 supercars around here. So you've really only got 4 turns, you could say. In fact, yeah, it is just 4 turns. So you've got that very long straight down into turn 1, and turn 1 is an absolute nightmare of a corner to get round as well, Troy. And we will see people fanning out on the entry as well to try and get a better exit, which compromises some people in the inside. Very tight round turn 1, then you head down towards turn 2, which is a little right hand chicane into turn 3, and then off turn 3 there is a massive wall on the outside as well, and you will actually see the cars up on the footpath, and it's very expensive for wing mirrors as well round here, Troy.
Yeah, look, mate, it's well, the hardest part about turn 1, I think you'll find, is the fact that there's a slight kink to the right in the road, so you've got to try and sort of line your braking up to be straight and not turning. Otherwise, if you're turning, you're going to slightly unload that right front tyre, and it's going to be nicely flat spotted for you.
Yeah, so through right hand turn 2, turn 3, the car feels ugly to drive through turn 2 and 3. You never quite catch the car through there, especially in the V8 supercar, because it's very lightly sprung compared with the DTM car. And the bumps through there as well are a bit of a nightmare. So you exit out of like a blind apex to turn 3 with a wall on the right hand side as you go out, down the footpath, then you try and get the car off the footpath and over into the centre of the track a little bit as you head towards a right hand kink, which leads down to turn 4, which is a very tight 180 degree left hander. And then you're down onto the home straight again, and they're really crucial to try and get the power down on the exit of turn 4, which is easier said than done. If you make a mistake here, you'll be round, and we've seen that many times over the years. And then down the little kink towards the pits and back onto the home straight, and if you're doing it right, you should be somewhere in the 49 seconds. So 49 seconds a lap around here, Troy. Outright lap record of 48.1 second lap in the DTM cars.
And for the V8 Supercar, currently held by Dave Kinnaman with a 48.8, so that's cracking pace. Just what you're saying there, Steve, about turns 2 and 3, I don't know if you've had a look at it, but I find if you stay left, cut it hard right on turn 2 there, and sort of hug that wall, you actually open up 3 and get a really good hard exit there.
Yeah, but again, you've got to be so careful as to how much speed you carry on the exit as well, because if you go straight out, you're going to cause issues with that wall and the footpath. Little bitch.
There is a lack of grip on that footpath. If you're too aggressive on the throttle and on that shift to third, you're going to light up third gear.
Yeah, not only do you light up third gear as well, you've got the wall on the outside, and we've seen many times over the years with the DTM cars in particular, suspension breakages just from clacking that wall too hard. So you got to be so careful. It's a balancing act right here. And one thing that we've heard all of the drivers complaining about in the V8s is the bumps. They're an absolute handful for these cars.
Look, especially I think coming out of the final turn, the final hairpin down there, because you want to. I found trying to get on the throttle hard, and it's just almost at each shift point too, that the car's engaging the next gear just as it's getting to the crest of the bump there. So it's really, really difficult. And if you can set the car up to handle the bumps well, you're going to go very well here.
Exactly, and you do see when you watch the DTM cars in particular around here as well, they are crashing into the track everywhere as well, because they're so much stiffer sprung than the V8s as well. And they obviously get most of their lap time through the aero as well, so they need to be glued to the track to get round there. But slightly different the V8s, and they make it just through sheer grunt at the moment.
620 horsepower, Steve. That's actually no, I think they're 650 now, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think the DTM cars are about 480, 500, somewhere around there.
So what they lose in horsepower, they make up for grip. Yeah, that's fair.
Well, basically, yeah, they're basically a Formula 3 car with a body on it.
Now, give me a tin top that you got a manhandle any day of the week, thank you.
You got to manhandle a DTM car right here as well, trust me.
Yeah, but you still got aero
laps.
advantage.
Yeah, you have got aero, but when the aero goes wrong, you're heading for something dangerous fast.
Valid point taken on
So
Jesus. I'm agreeing with you, Steve. I don't like this season already.
So if you hit a curb wrong in a DTM car, lift the front up, you're going to struggle for the next bit.
Yeah, I don't think there is going to be a next day.
No. So, in warm-up at the moment, a couple of minutes left, 1 minute 50 seconds remaining before we head to race 1. We'll probably only cover race 1 today, to be honest, so we'll see how it goes. The format is, I don't have it in front of me at the moment, Troy, I don't know if you are aware.
32 laps, I do believe, Steve.
Oh, that should be pretty quick, so half an hour race or so.
Actually, sorry, 30 laps. 30 laps, mate.
So less than half an hour. I'm sure there'll be at least one pit stop. We have heard drivers complaining about the tyre wear around here. You've got to remember this is a very abrasive street track. These tyres, especially on the Aussie cars, are not designed for this kind of punishment consistently. The Aussie street tracks tend to be more stop-start-ish, don't they, Troy, rather than massive long straights to burn off anything if you've got the camber slightly wrong.
I don't think it's so much the camber that's the issue here, Steve. I think it's just how abrasive the circuit is in the turns. I mean, I found myself during testing during the week, or during today actually, that I'm losing 4 and 5% of my tyre deg just in the turns. There's nothing coming off in the straights.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's also, but you've got to remember for your street tracks, you've got your camber set completely different than you would for a normal racetrack. You need to try and get around those stop-starting corners, and here on a straight with the camber set for a straight track, it's really going to burn away.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, I think I run pretty much the same camber here, but I think the problem's going to be definitely tyre deg. You've got to look at the fact that they've got to run the hard and the soft in the whole round. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, it goes without saying, the no-brainer is everyone's going to run a soft tyre in the first race. Would you agree?
I would say so, but every time we pick that, they do the opposite. So let's say, just looking on track, we've got the 333 car for this season for Dan Stevens, and I'll tell you what, that is a very nice looking car for this year as well. It just arrived for this round, freshly built from, I believe, the ASR, now 99 Racing Studios.
Well, I did believe.
Oh, actually, no, this one's...
It was Dan.
This one's a BSR car. Actually, yeah, it is.
I was about to say, I was pretty sure Dan, did build his own cars, but I was going to say, it looks very similar to what you would expect from the newly formed Walkinshaw Racing team.
Oh, yes. I wonder has BSR got a jump on this, but this very nicely presented car and team as always. Oh, and I suppose one thing we haven't mentioned is the reigning champions are no longer in the doctor's car anymore. The Volvo has been parked and sold off.
Yes, that's one thing. There's a lot to mention, Steve. I mean, we've got some time here to kill. We've got to mention, obviously, the silly season, driver swaps, car swaps, everything. I think there's a lot's happened in what we would just say would be, 4 weeks?
Yeah, exactly. It's been a very busy off-season. I do know that both Brett and Bert are a lot more comfortable in the FGX than they ever were in the Volvo, so that's something to worry for the other teams.
Well, I'm a little concerned that if they're more comfortable in a Ford than a Volvo, it doesn't say much about the Volvo now, does it?
Well, Oh, and also
my bias again.
Another new team as well, Outlaws Racing. Only representative here today is Trevor Dixon. Team owner Wayne Dare not with us today, but I'm sure he'll be there for round 1 in 2 weeks' time. And also John Deere Racing, headed up by Darren Goosey, former BSR driver. So interested to see what their plans are for the season.
Well, it will be interesting, and this is what we say. There's been a lot of movement and a lot of changes going on this season. Like we've had, obviously, you just mentioned there, Darren Goosey forming his own team, John Deere Racing, moving out of BSR. I do believe there still is a relationship somewhere interlinked there, and I do believe, what was it, Colin Bruns has moved into the BSR camp?
Late news this morning is that Colin Bruns will not be running this season. Last minute change there for BSR, and I do know that team owner Dan Stevens was less than happy with that move.
Wow, that is huge. That is huge turn of events.
Left him scrambling for a teammate for the season, and you know what? It's really unfortunate for Dan. Ever since he left SRT. He's just struggled for a teammate no matter what happens. It's a bit unfortunate for Dan.
Well, I mean, for those of you that may remember or may not, you had Rob Herbert there for a while until Rob Herbert succumbed to what we like to call mechanical failures in the sim racing world, being lack of internet ability.
I know, really unfortunate. It would have been good to see Rob back as well, the only other Fiat Supercar champion. Dan Stevens, Rob Herbert and Brett Clark, the only ones to have taken a title so far.
You know what? Race of Champions, I think, Steve. Well, let's get Rob Herbert, Brett Clark, Dan Stevens, and then... Actually, you know what? Let's probably bring in the top 3 place setters from a previous season, and I think we could actually have quite a good race there.
Absolutely.
You got someone like Dave Kinnaman, Kai Turner, Stuart Portier, Gavin Cox. I think with Brett Clark, Rob Herbert and Dan Stevens being the champions, and Gavin, Dave and Kai representing, let's say, the rest of the world.
Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely some really, really top-draw drivers here.
And we're only going to get better.
Exactly, so we're just through the formation lap now. Dave Kinnaman is making his way up into pole position in the 55 DeWalt 55 Racing Volvo. Interesting, that gives Dave the inside for turn 1, which is not the racing line, so this could be a little bit of an issue trying to get right turn 1 and see who comes out. Brett's got the outside.
Definitely, he's on the dirty side. And Dave's left standing, and Stuart Portier's got a jump.
Oh, and he's right with Clark, and on the inside as well. Stevens up the middle, shoots through the John Deere racing car as well. So let's just see how we look into turn 1. Clark stays wide, and Stevens trying to make the best of that as well. But what a terrible start for Kinnaman. He's dropped right down to 4th, 5th place now. And
it's a cracking start from Stuart Portier.
Absolutely, he's got Clark all over the back, and Stevens is all over the back of Clark at the moment as well. And the ever-vested Darren Goosey is up in 4th position ahead of Clark. Portier moves to cover the inside there as well. He's got to be careful. Stevens is going for the inside on Clark. How did they get through there?
Kinnaman trying to go the inside of Goosey there, but Goosey seems to be holding his own quite much so here. I'm
impressed with Dan Stevens here. He's on a mission straight away. He made Clark compromise his line into the final corner as well, which has given him a right run on him down the straight as well. And we're already into turn 1 on lap 2. And Stevens is going for the inside, but he's had to go across the curb. He's almost hit the wall. He needs to gather it up and get back at him. But look at that, Portier and Clark are together as well.
And you got Kinnaman and Goosey still going at it, and Goosey is holding his own. This move to John Deere here could be one of the cracking.
Oh, Stevens nearly loses it. He's got to get back on it now. Look at this, Clark going to the inside on Portier into the final corner. Portier's not going to settle for that. Clark takes the wide exit to try and get a tighter, wide entry to get a tighter exit, and he does as well. And they're side by side down the straight as well, but Stuart's on the preferred line through here as well. So let's see what happens into turn 1. What a race already.
It's action aplenty.
Clark is past at this point as well, but he's going to be compromised going into turn 1. But he holds it out nicely as well, and it is through. Wow, he's going to be
a little touch there.
There's going to be a smile in the helmet of Brett Clark at the moment.
He is, but Stuart's like a dog with a bone there. He's not falling back. Not in a hurry.
He's not going to get through there, but you just got to line it up. And if you watch Clark through that turn 2, turn 3 on the last lap there as well, he just set Stuart up nicely. He let Stuart make the run, and then he just went through a little bit faster and pulled it back up again. And Stevens is coming back now as well.
Yeah, we've lost Darren Goosey there. He seems to have fallen back because he was right there with Kinnaman.
Yeah,
so
well done.
Maybe a slight lose there.
So Clark drops into the 50.239, but interesting, Dan Stevens is 49.959 and 49.5. Oh, Stevens is
off. He goes off track.
Wow, that's unlucky for Dan there. Kinnaman's making good grind, coming back up through the field from 5th position, pole to 5th, and now he's back up into 3rd position as well. So it's just going to settle down, I'd imagine, for a few laps now while figure out the tower wear and what the pit strategy is going to be.
Look, I think there's been talk that, 10, 12 laps is going to be sort of the limit of these tyres.
So yeah, just looking down in 7th position, Darren Goosey from 3rd has dropped all the way down, so obviously a few issues there as well. Let's see if we can pick up what's happened there. Just getting the replay of Clark passing Poitier. Yeah, so we've just seen there, Troy, on the replay. Brett just sort of backed off going into that final corner and got that run on him down the main straight as well. So just have to keep an eye on that and see how Stewart deals with that going forwards.
Yeah, and just watching Brett there as well, coming out of 1, he was I don't know if he had the rears locked or he just got on the throttle a little bit too hard, but he left some nice licorice marks coming out of that turn 1.
Yeah, just watch him now as he heads into turn 1. No issues this time around as well, but Stewart has got Dave Kinnaman right on his rear wing now at the moment, so that Volvo is looking pretty handy round here.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Looks like the 55 car is able to turn a lot better than the other cars.
That's always been something that people have said about the Volvo, is that their ability to turn that front end and really pitch it in. And it's,
yeah, look at this. Just as you said that, he almost got the overlap on him into the final corner there, but he's now drafting Stewart, but he's not going to be close enough in turn 1. Disappointing for that season, now 3.3 seconds off the lead gap.
Now, these two here could do something extraordinary and actually beneficial to themselves here. They could work together and get themselves up to Brett and pressure him, but I think Dave's going to probably more be going straight for the win.
Yeah, you've got no chance they're going to fight it out.
You saw Dave there out of turn 1, he was quite loose.
Interesting to see, Brett is running in 50.4s or whatever. He's obviously decided the tyres keep them on the car and keep it different pace. Kinnaman is running in the 49s, he's the fastest car on track at the moment.
Yeah, he is, and that's one thing that Triple Five have always been known for, is the way their cars look after their tyres. And Dave was fastest in qualifying with the 48.8.
So 50.9 from Clark in the lead, 50.5 for Poitier in second, and a 50.3. So we're starting to see tyre wear take a little bit of a hit. Stevens has got himself to within 3 seconds flat of the next. No, he's gone off again, has he? He did.
Yeah, he did. He ran a 50 flat.
Yeah, and then went off in turn 1 again, or had a bit of an issue. Interesting to see Clark moving all the way to the left of the track there to try and break any toe, so he's just managing the lead at the moment, I would say.
Yeah, I think he is more about management than extension.
And Stevens has had another issue as well in the background. I've just seen him light it up coming out of that final corner, and he's down to last position and heading straight for the pits.
It's an early stop. I think it might be too early.
Yeah, I would say so too, considering the pace he had. Ooh, and Kinnaman's lit it up 2 laps running coming out of turn 2, or turn 1, sorry.
Those rears probably screaming that they've had enough as well in Kinnaman's car.
It's costing him all the way through the lap as well. He gets right up on the back of Stewart through turn 1, lights are up on the exit, and then spends the rest of the lap trying to get back to where he was. So he just needs to calm that rear down at the moment. He's lost quite a bit this time.
Yeah, and just looking at those last lap times, Brett Clark threw out a 51. The rest of everyone else is in the 50s.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's now into conserve.
Yeah, I definitely think that's his plan of attack.
Yeah, we'll see if Stewart gets close enough. If he's got some pace, then I'm sure he'll drop down a couple of tenths at the very least. And Stewart actually lit it up coming out of turn 1 there this time, but Dave wasn't close enough. He's still suffering from that incident he had on the last lap.
And just as we say that, Brett brings it back into a 50 flat, a 50.06.
Yeah, just say that nice, and he's pulled out, he's gapping them again on this lap, so yeah, he's managing the gap, as we call it.
Yeah, I think you more need to maybe keep an eye and find that happy medium with your pace, not go to. For instance, we're going from one extreme to the other where he's either too quick or he's too slow. So I think he needs to find that medium. That's going to help manage those tyres.
Yeah, I think if anyone can find that medium, it is Brett. He's done this many, many times. He dropped into 50.1 this time as well. So he's just putting on a little bit of a spurt now to make sure that they don't get too overexcited, and I think they can make a move anytime soon.
Yeah, just watching the last couple of laps here, times between Kinnaman and Podia, you can see that Podia is starting to gap him quite consistently now.
Yeah,
I think the rears on that Volvo have had enough.
It's about a 2 tenths a lap at the moment.
I think that's going to help.
So it looks like Clark's actually dropped back off a little bit on this lap again.
Yeah, I think he's just playing the yo-yo effect, but I think what you'll find is the fact that now Podia is able to gap Kinnaman. He's going to be finding his rhythm again, and he'll be able to sort of start hitting those numbers that he needs to reel Brett in. Actually,
Brett just ran his fastest lap of the race of 49.9, so yes, he's obviously been protecting the tyres for the first 10 laps, and is now going to put on a little bit of a spurt, so potentially looking at splitting this right down the middle, Troy, I would say, in terms of pit stop strategy. So 11 laps in the book, I would say he's looking at 15 or 16.
And Van Jaarsveld in.
Ooh, that's unusual early stop. That would suggest that another stop to make at the very least, and I'm sure Dan Stevens would do the same.
Definitely, they're not going to make it on one stop. It's not stopping this early. I think the earliest you can stop and make it home with decent tyre underneath you is lap 16.
Yeah, definitely. I would say it's a straight down the middle one, this one. So here comes Clark across the line, 50.5 for Clark at a 50.4 for Courtney. So pretty static this gap now, and as we say, he is gapping Dave Kinnaman in third position now. He took out half a second on him.
Kinnaman outbraking himself there.
Volvo's having a bit of an issue, I'd say, on tyre life at the moment. So
yeah, I don't think the tyres on that Volvo are happy at all, Steve. I think they might be looking a bit second-hand, and I don't think you get even $5 from it a tyre reshed.
Just looking down again, Dan Stevens, who's had a bit of a mare of a race, to say the very least, is in 7th position and has been jumped by Bert Van Jaarsveld with that stop. Van Jaarsveld in 6th at the moment.
Darren Goosey just leaving the pits now. That's another early stop. These guys are stopping way too early, I think, Steve. And Kinnaman in. Yeah, so we were obviously right about those tyres.
Yeah, I think Dave realised pretty quickly there that he was losing time, and Clark and Poitier are going to catch the first of the back markers at the moment, and it's a bit of a nightmare around this track. You always seem to catch them in the wrong place, and it's Darren Goosey that they're coming up to, and on that lap, they were pretty much point for point on lap time, but over the first sector, it looks like Stuart Poitier is closing in significantly.
Yeah, look, the problem with this track is you've got to try and make your pass under brakes either. And Clark's around.
Do you know what? Just as I seen him turn into that corner, I did not like the look of the car on turn in. It looked like it was sliding too much.
And he's into the pits by look of it too.
Wow. Literally, Troy, as I watched that car turn in, it didn't look right at all. It looked like the grip had just gone on him, and yep, he turned around. So Stuart's just got to keep it on the black stuff, get round, make his stop, and see where he pops out, because Brett will have lost at least 2 to 3 seconds on that move.
Oh, look, at least. I mean, he's obviously clearly coming in a bit hot there, as Brett always does. Probably locked the rears more so than anything, and
it actually looked like the front went first and then the rear just snapped. So it looked like when he turned in, I watched, and the front started to understeer out, and then the back continued with the oversteer and took her round.
That's interesting. Usually on this track, braking so heavily into there, especially the way Brett brakes, he goes back through the gears quite hard.
Yeah, I think he just lost that front, and that was it for him. Oh, we're just looking
watching the replay.
There.
No, Steve, the rear's gone well before he can see he's on the opposite lock as he's turning in.
Clark's actually behind Kinnaman on track right now following that stop, so that's interesting to see what happens here. Yeah,
just watching the replay here, Steve, you can actually see that he's turned the car in, and then straight to opposite lock. So yeah, I think the rears have gone out on him.
Yeah, Brett's got his work cut out from there to try to get past Dale. And that promotes Trevor Dixon up into second position at the moment, and Trevor hasn't pitted that I can see. No, he hasn't yet.
No, he really hasn't. He's obviously going to be one of those ones that runs long.
Yeah, we know Trevor can get a decent number of laps out of the set of tyres as well. So we're on to lap 15 now, so we're within one lap of half distance, and we would expect Stuart is in the pits actually a lap earlier than I would have thought.
It's lap 16.
Oh yeah, it is actually bang on lap 16, yeah, and Stuart's leaving the pits now, so where's Kinnaman versus Portier? Coming down the start-finish straight now.
Still a huge gap.
Stuart turns into turn 1, and we can just see the 55 car in the background there now as well.
You can see.
So all three can see each other as they did in the first half of the race. Just the positions are completely scrambled between them at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, uncorrected order, you'd think you'd have Portier in the lead, possibly Kinnaman ahead of Clark, but Dixon could jump somewhere in between those two.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where Trevor shakes out in this one as well.
Which he's now in the pit.
Just looking at the lap times of Clark and Kinnaman as well, they're running in the 50.8, so I think they're protecting tyres because they know they've gone earlier.
Yeah, definitely. I think you'll find Stewart's got the advantage there by being able to sort of drive the smoother lines, drive the smoother race, and have his tyres last that little bit longer. Now these boys have got to do quite a long stint that I just don't think is possible.
So since we're in
you can do it.
Since we're in a pre-season test, let's see if we can get to talk to one of the drivers in the middle of the race. Dan, Steve in the booth, obviously we're in a pre-season test, so we thought we'd annoy you during the race.
Yeah, all good, mate.
So you looked like you had pace to burn at the start there. You made an awesome start up the middle, past the 55 car and the Darren Goosey car as well, up into third. Looked like you were going to challenge for second and then first, but a bit of braking problems from what we can see.
Yep, sure, man. I did that one slight lock up and it just destroyed my tyres completely, and just nursed it from then on.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. We're taking you're going to have to stop again, for the looks of things.
No, I'm going to try and actually make the doing quite well, so I'm not pushing so hard, so hopefully I'll get home.
Okay, good luck, Dana. We'll talk to you after the race.
Yeah, mate, no worries. Thank you.
What's up? If you're hungry, go and see Mummy.
And you can hear he's quite busy in the cockpit there, Steve.
Yeah, it's a nice track to go and interfere with people on.
Yeah, it's not like Bathurst where you get a 10-second break going down Conrod Straight. Here, you might get a 3-second, 4-second break down the straight before you back through the gears and hard on the brakes.
So it looks like we've got the SRT boys in third and fourth, and Van Jorsville is actually catching Brett Clark at the moment.
Yeah, looking at the best lap times, he's actually almost 900ths quicker than Brett on comparable times.
Yeah, I'm reluctant to interfere with the top three at the moment. I doubt they'll thank us for that.
Yeah, I don't think they're definitely not someone you could probably disturb. They're probably heads down, focusing on what's ahead, and I think Brett Clark, he'll be kicking himself at the moment with that rare mistake.
Really surprised at the amount of time he's lost to Dave Kinnaman over the last few laps as well, considering Dave's going to be in the same, probably slightly worse tyre situation than Brett is.
I definitely think Dave's worse off when it comes to the tyre stakes there. You can already see he's starting to work those tyres there through turn one. So I think it's only a matter of time before I give it maybe 5-6 laps before you see Dave drop off the cliff, so to speak.
Yeah, so we've got 12 laps remaining. Oh, and I just watched him on the pavement there. You see that, it just absolutely snapped. And he had to get right out of the throttle there to gather it back up again. So pavement, as we know, there's very little grip there. You can't avoid being on it.
No, you can't, because it's obviously a section of the track that you need to sort of get the ultimate line out of the corner. But that was that change from second to third there, Steve, where it has just violently snapped.
So this is the thing where with, should we say, a normal driver making a mistake like Brett Clark did would affect them rolling into the start of the season. But we know that very little affects him, so a little bit irrelevant at the moment, but I know he'll be kicking himself.
Yeah, I think so. Someone like Brett, it's a case of throw caution to the wind. Let's get that looseness out of the system now, so that when we start turning tyres in point scoring anger, he's ready to go. He's switched on. For anyone else, it could almost be a rhythm breaker, because a lot of other guys are probably going to try and use this time of the season to find that rhythm, get themselves back in groove with the car and on. So it's definitely, there's two different styles of driver, I do think.
Yes, we're just on board with Brett through the final corner in turn 1 there as well. The car looks absolutely fine, looks like it's doing what he needs it to do, just looks like it doesn't have the pace at the moment. Although that was a 49.9 on the last lap. But Kinnaman's still running in the 49s consistently, a 49.7 on that last lap for Dave Kinnaman.
Yeah, and the question's going to be is how much longer can he keep that pace up? I don't think it's going to last.
Well, Stuart Potty has obviously responded to that with a 49.7 on that lap. Oh, we got Bert van Jaarsveld in the pits. So the first of our second stoppers.
That's a big call.
Yeah, well, we know the 46 didn't have as much track time leading in, so he probably hasn't been able to get the setup tuned just the way he wants it yet.
No, and that's probably one of the reasons why I decided to sort of jump out of the car today. Is I only had an hour, maybe two, today to throw some laps down and try and get a set sorted for the car. It wasn't pretty.
Never.
Although I did manage to throw down a 49.8, I do think.
Not bad at all. Looks like Kinnaman closed down another half a second on Stewart on that last lap as well. And yeah, it does beg the question, Troy, when are we going to see this 55 car start to drop off a little bit, because he's not showing any signs of it as yet.
No, he's definitely consistent, isn't he there, Steve?
Can you see what tyre he's got on?
Let me have a little look here.
Looks like yellow sidewalls to me.
It is the yellow. He's running the hard.
Yeah, interesting. So let's have a look at the DSA's Stuart Portier. Let's see if we can get a look.
I can tell you, he's running the soft.
He is running the soft. So let's see if we can look at the 69 car as well. And that looks like yellow stripes to me.
No, they're white on the 69, Steve.
Right, let's see. Yes, they are white. You're right. So Stevens has pitted twice more since we spoke to him. Oh, so he's obviously had to pit and probably got a drive-through for speeding.
Ooh.
Oh, when it goes wrong. But I'll tell you what, there's no better place to get that out of your system than the final pre-season test.
Definitely. I mean, the first and final pre-season, really.
Yeah, you've got to get that out of your system. And we know that this tends to happen to Dan a lot. One mistake compounds another for him. He just seems consistently unlucky.
Look, I think we call him Dan Murphy. It's Murphy's Law. If it can go wrong, it will happen for him.
I know, I'm thinking of getting a Portaloo in each pit for him, so he can have a 5-minute break when he needs.
Hey, look, we all know that I used to clean those things, so anything you need, Steve, I can sort you out with a good old-fashioned Coates Hire Portaloo.
Yeah, imagine that Portaloo wasn't in great shape when Murphy was finished after that massive penalty.
From what I understand, it is actually
stuff.
framed. No, there actually is that Portaloo actually is sitting at the back of the Sydney yard, I do believe. It's got a prized position.
We should. It should be in the same museum as the Kmart car that did the lap of the gods. They should be right beside each other.
You know what? They're part and parcel, aren't they?
It's all part of the same story.
It does. Now, at that time around, Steve, you've seen Kinnaman really drop off. He's gone into the 50.6s.
Absolutely, yeah. Portier consistent in the 50.2s. Clark in the 50.3s. Darren Goosey doing a phenomenal job in 4th position. Trevor Dixon wasn't able to make that strategy work for him as well as he potentially was hoping for. He's in 5th position.
Now, you've got, obviously, yeah, Dan's made a 3rd stop. Bert Veg Arsfield the 2nd. Now, the rest of them are all on 1 stops. Trevor Dixon, Darren Goosey, Brett Clark, Dave Cameron, and Stuart Portier. So, obviously, the 1 stop is... We've got 5 to go, Steve. Can Kinnaman and Clark make their tyres last?
I think Kinnaman can because he's on the hard tyre. I would say we're a safe bet he's there. Clark, I think he can make them last, but he looks like he's putting a bit of a squirt on to try and catch Dave at the moment. But I doubt that he's gonna run out of laps before he can get close enough.
I think you're right there, but the question you got to ask is: has he taken too much out of those hard tyres by those back-to-back 49s?
Potentially, we know that Brett hasn't taken too much out of this set of tyres because he's been off the pace where he normally would expect himself to be. So maybe he is just saving a little bit for the final.
Yeah, there's only about 1.5, 2 seconds between them.
Yeah, exactly. So he's crossing the line now onto lap 29 in the 69 car. You can see the 55 ahead of him now. Oh, that makes me cry every time I hear that engine on the downshifts. He really murders it.
Tell you what, you don't want to be a valve spring on one of his engines, do you?
Or a team owner.
I don't care about your checkbook. I'm more worried about the valve spring. I'm mechanically sympathetic.
So am I. Expecting me wins, but man, is he getting the brakes going well on that?
Does he even need brakes? The ways he just jams through those gears.
Well, I've seen the
Just
pads.
watching it there.
I've seen the pads come off it as well, and they're smoking too. So he's using everything he's got. You wouldn't want to buy a car. You wouldn't want to buy a second-hand car from us at the end of the season.
Oh look, I'm glad I don't follow you blokes with your team car choices because I definitely wouldn't be buying one of your chassis.
It's used.
You're one of those
up.
blokes. Used is an understatement. Yeah, lady owner only drives to church on Sundays. Yeah, right.
Yeah, the Sunday was a racetrack.
Exactly. Forgot to mention that part, and the church was Bathurst.
That's the one. So 2 laps remaining. Portier is clearly going to take the win unless he has a complete moment and stacks it. So he should be fine for the win. Kinnaman looking pretty happy in 2nd position. Clark in 3rd. Darren Goosey doing a nice job in 4th. Trevor Dixon in 5th. Bert van Jarsfield 2 stops in 6th position. Dan Stevens 3 stops in 7th position. So not quite the race they were all hoping for.
No, clearly not. We thought he was going to be thereabouts, and unfortunately for him, he's not.
Hang on, Troy. Last lap, look what's happening. Clark is right on the deck lid of that Volvo.
Could he be making a last-ditch attempt?
Clearly he's making a last-ditch attempt. Now, what he did with Portier last time was he sat back off him through here, and he's done the same thing. He sat back off Dave, and then got a run at him through there. Now he's up the rear outlet as we come up.
Kinnaman defend.
Yeah, Clark's taking the wide entry with the tighter exit, and they're
Switch
into
back.
each other. Come on.
Oh,
that was
it's
it.
all over.
That little nudge just upset the 69 car, but you could see what he was doing there.
Oh yeah, he was definitely going to have a crack at it. Just on that there, Steve, the 69. Is there any reason why he hasn't gone for the number 1? Is he superstitious?
Number 1 will be here next for the next round.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he will definitely be running number 1. I don't let any of my drivers not run the number 1. I don't believe in it. I don't understand why, if you work so hard to win a title, you don't run the bloody number. So
And Portier's had a few.
Stuart Portier takes the win from Dave Kinnaman, from Brett Clark, Darren Goosey 4th, Trevor Dixon 5th, Bert Van Jost 6th, Dan Stevens 7th. And that's it. So let's see if we can get the top 3 down. So welcome to the post-event interviews. First position, Stuart Poitier. Second position, Dave Kinnaman. Third position, Brett Clark. Just come to you first of all, Brett. So you got away nicely, led the first part of the race, and then obviously had a bit of a moment into the final corner, which destroyed it for you.
Yeah, I didn't have a tyre life. I hadn't done any race sim testing, so unfortunately my tyre basically fell off the cliff into that last corner, and it just locked. And when the rears are locked, there's nothing you can do. So yeah, that's what cost me the race. And then the rest of the race, I knew I had to get 17 laps out of one set of tyres, which I only just managed. So it's all right.
Just Brett,
Not bad.
how many
Well
laps
done
did
to
you get on
everyone
the
else, though.
hards?
Hang on, we got the SOT team radio bleeding through there for a second. So coming across to you, Dave, second position, pole position though. You made a bit of a fluff at the start, which ultimately cost you.
Yeah, the start certainly wasn't my best. To go from pole position down to 5th is never what you want to do, but had a bit of fun coming through the grid, which is always good in pre-season, and then to be able to mix it with Stuart and Brett for the entirety of the race is pretty good steps for me.
Yeah, and a little bit of a heart attack there on the last lap there with Brett.
I knew that in that last hairpin he'd be close and probably up for trying something. I was just probably a bit lucky that he lit up the rear tyres and wasn't able to get by, because I had very little on my rear tyres there as well.
Well done. And across to you, Stuart, with the win. A nice, comfortable race.
Oh yeah, it's pretty good, Steve. Not much tyre life left in the last couple of laps, but yeah, just crawled over the line with fuel.
Excellent, congratulations, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks' time for round 1.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Steve. Well
Cheers,
done,
Steve.
Dave, Brett.
Thank you, mate. Well done to you
Thank
too.
you, Stuart.
So there we have it, Troy. Pre-season event done, and that's where we'll leave you for today. So next week, at the same time, we will have the first race from the iRacing V8 Supercars season. So feel free to join us for that, followed by the week after the first round of the R Factor 2 V8 Supercars. So hopefully we'll catch you all in a week's time, if not 2 weeks.